日本時間15日、ドジャースの大谷翔平は、ドジャースタジアムで入団会見を行い、会見の中で10年総額7億ドル、約1000億円の異例契約についても言及。球団側に年俸の後払いを提案した理由については、
自分が受け取れる金額を我慢してペイロールに柔軟性を持たせることができるのであれば僕は全然後払いでいいです。
と話していました。後払いは近年の巨額契約では決して珍しいことではありません。ただ、今回の大谷のような総額の 97% を後払いに回すというのは前代未聞。後払い分の割合は 20% 前後が一般的で、これまで最も割合が大きいマックス・シャーザー、レンジャーズでも 50% でした。そんな中、大谷マニアとして知られる米専門局 FOX スポーツのアナリスト、ベン・バーランダー氏のポッドキャスト番組に、今季ア・リーグで28本塁打、82打点をマークし、オリオールズのア・リーグ東地区優勝を牽引したガナー・ヘンダーソン内野手がゲスト出演し、大谷の後払い契約について自身の見解を述べ、司会者から
向こう10年間ア・リーグの東地区の対戦相手に大谷翔平がいなくて嬉しいですか笑
と質問されると、
まあ嬉しいですね
と正直に答え、
大谷は信じられないほどの才能の塊です
とユニークな大谷トークを展開していましたので、日本語字幕付きでご紹介していきます。
Well, I'm not sure if you've heard anything about it, Gunnar, but over the weekend, there was a fairly big signing in the game of baseball. How happy are you? Because the conversation was leaning heavily towards Toronto. How happy are you that Shohei Ohtani is not going to be in the AL East for the next decade?
Yeah, I got to face him once, and I'm very glad that. Well, I guess I had to face him at least once with the Dodgers. Well, he won't be pitching next year, so in 25, we'll look forward to facing him. But man, that's just electric stuff. But very happy to see that he got what he was worth. I mean,
yeah.
It's just unreal talent, and yeah, it's really fun to watch and really fun to compete against.
Yeah, pretty big difference in facing a guy maybe once a year if you run into him, as opposed to, I feel like you guys play the Blue Jays every other week. So
yeah, it seems like we play them all the time.
What were your thoughts when you heard it first come out? He announced it obviously on his Instagram, but when it first came out, 10 years, $700 million. What was your gut reaction?
I feel like mine was pretty similar to the entire community of baseball when you just like your jaw hits the floor because that number hasn't been mentioned like ever. Or I think it said it was like the biggest in North American sports. Is that right?
Yep, North American sport history.
That's crazy, but I mean, he deserves it. That you don't see a guy who can go out there and be an ace and then also lead the league in home runs and have a 300 average. So he deserves every bit of it.
So I want to talk to you about, obviously, we hear about the signing, and then the next few days we hear about the way the contract's all set up. And when the contract was first announced, all we heard was unprecedented deferrals. Nobody really knew what that meant, but I think everybody knows it's Shohei Ohtani. He's one of one. His contract is probably also going to be one of one. And then you hear that the deferrals are $68 million per year. He's going to be making $2 million a year, baseball-wise, his incentives and advertisements and all that stuff. He's making a lot more. He'll be fine. But $68 million a year deferred for the next 10 years. What are your thoughts on that, Gunnar? Because I'm still trying to process it and make sense of it myself. And I know the entire baseball world is. I was talking to my brother about it last night, and him and I are trying to make sense of it and talk about what makes sense, what doesn't, and how crazy the whole thing is. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like for him, it's honestly a pretty good idea because I feel like he knows that he doesn't. I mean, be nice to have it, but at the same time, he wants to win right now.
Right.
So being able to just clear up that space to go get some more pitchers, it's a very smart move on his end, and he's wanting to go out and win a World Series. But I mean, that helps a lot, but that is a lot of money to defer. But that's what he wanted to do, and I feel like he's just wanting to set up the Dodgers.
また、MLB ネットワークの番組 MLB トゥナイトでは、ドジャース大谷翔平誕生の裏で繰り広げられていた大谷争奪戦についての議論になり、ドジャース同地区のライバルジャイアンツも大谷に同額を提示したという点について着目し、最終的に大谷がドジャースを選んだ理由について述べていましたので、日本語字幕付きでご紹介していきます。
Well, reportedly, their arch rival, the San Francisco Giants, were heavily in on the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes. This tweet here from Andrew Baggerly of The Athletic. Ohtani camp presented Giants the exact deal that Ohtani ended up finalizing with LA. We were agreeable to it, Farhan Zaidi said. The Giants were told it was in Ohtani's hands, and obviously Shohei picked the Los Angeles Dodgers. And more here from Farhan Zaidi. It did seem like geography mattered. It wasn't an absolute monster deal breaker, obviously, giving the pool of teams that was interested, but we did sense there was a preference to stay in Southern California, and we knew that would be a challenge for us. I feel bad for the San Francisco Giants in a ways because they keep going hard after these big names and these big name free agents. And Dan, for a variety of reasons, it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, but I think when you look at the package of what the Dodgers present, it's really appealing as a player because you look at one, they pretty much have ruled the NL West, and you know they're going to be a postseason team. And you look at that roster, the way it's constructed, if you're Shohei Ohtani, and you look at this, if you're Yamamoto, you look at this, you go, man, you know what? What do I need as a pitcher? I need guys who can catch the ball, check. I need a team that can score some runs, check, and a team that can play in October. So you could understand why these players want to go to the Dodgers because they're a proving winning organization. And I think if you're like the Giants, if you're the Blue Jays, I don't know how much more over the top they could have gone because it seems to me both the Blue Jays and the Giants, they were all in. They pushed all the poker chips in. But in the end, I think Ohtani was destined to be a Dodger from last year at the trading deadline. That was the most appealing place for him to play.
And Alex, you brought up something earlier. Obviously, Giant fans are upset. They're disappointed Ohtani's not going to be wearing their colors. But when the Giants won those titles under Bruce Bochy, it wasn't about offense. It was built on pitching and just enough. Now, obviously, Shohei Ohtani improves those World Series chances. Yeah. But I still see a roadmap for this team to be very, very successful.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you look at the Dodgers now, kind of missing out on that, like, okay, what direction do they go? And like you said, when we were kind of talking before the show, you know, they won, you know, those World Series on pitching and really good defense. And, you know, had just enough hitters. Now, they had, you know, Buster Posey. They had some guys that had some really strong all-star types offensive seasons. And you can still have that. But I think when you look at the Giants now, I mean, what they could probably, you know, use just like everybody else, they should probably stack up on pitching and see where it goes and really make sure that rotation, which they were struggling a bit last year at filling those innings, making sure that there's a lot of depth and quality of depth as well in that rotation.
And Dan, they committed, I believe, the most errors in baseball. I mean, you shore up the pitching, and you got to have that good defense. Like I said, I think there's a roadmap.
And I think that's what might be frustrating in the end. I know the Giants are in on Yamamoto, but guess what? So are the Dodgers, so are the Yankees, so are the Cubs, and so are the Red Sox. So you've got a lot of large market teams. We thought this Yamamoto sweepstakes was going to be around 150 to 200 million. Now we're starting to hear it's going to be north of 250, close to 300 million to acquire the 25-year-old from Japan.
これからも大谷の活躍から目が離せません。皆様からのコメントもお待ちしております。